The colony world Keras 9 was quiet at dawn, wrapped in a soft orange glow from its twin suns. Wind slid across the open plains, carrying the smell of metal from the mining fields and the distant hum of old generators. Most people were still sleeping, but one man began his morning early, just as he always did. His name was Marcus Hale, a Humyn veteran who had once served in 3 major border wars. Now he lived alone at the edge of the colony, in a small house built from salvaged ship parts. His left leg carried a limp, and his right arm sometimes went numb when the air grew too cold. Even so, Marcus woke every morning before the suns, stretched through the pane, and stepped outside to watch the sky. He told himself he enjoyed the peace. He told himself the quiet life suited him. But deep inside, he missed the purpose he once carried, missed fighting for others, missed making a difference. On this particular morning, the sky did not stay peaceful for long. A strange vibration trembled through the air, like the world itself was holding its breath. Marcus felt the shock before he heard it, a deep, low boom that shook dust from his roof. Birds scattered, animals ran, and a crack of bright white light split the horizon. Marcus froze. He had seen light like that before, only once, a gravity rift, and not a small one. He ran inside, grabbed his old emergency pack, and pulled on his armored vest. It was dented and scratched, a reminder of battles long behind him. Even so, Marcus fastened the straps with steady hands. He may not have been a soldier anymore, but he knew danger when he saw it, and he knew the colony wouldn't be ready. The ground trembled again. In the distance, near the central settlement, the sky twisted into a swirling violet funnel. Pieces of floating debris rose into the air, rocks, sand, even metal panels torn from buildings. Alarms echoed across the settlement. Marcus tightened his grip on his pack and started running toward the colony. The streets were chaos. People ran in panic, holding children, carrying supplies, calling out for missing family members. The air was thick with dust and wild energy from the unstable rift. Marcus moved through the crowd with practiced control, guiding civilians away from the danger zone. "Stay low! Move toward the outer shelters!" he shouted. A group of frightened miners hesitated, unsure where to go. Marcus placed himself in front of them, steady and calm. "Follow the emergency arrows. Don't stop for anything." They nodded and ran. For years, Marcus thought he had lost all purpose, but now he felt his old instincts returning, clear, sharp, and unshakable. Even with the ache in his leg and the sting in his shoulder, he pushed forward. The rift above the central square began to widen. Bright, unstable energy crackled across the sky like lightning trapped inside a storm. The colony's planetary shield generator, a tall tower of crystal and metal, flickered dangerously. Its blue glow faded, then brightened, then faded again. It would not survive long without reinforcement, and when the shield failed, the rift would swallow everything. Marcus was halfway across the square when a roar split the air. Not the roar of a machine, not the sound of a collapsing structure. It was alive. A massive shadow fell over the ground. And everyone turned their heads upward. From the swirling rift descended a creature of legend, one Marcus had only heard stories about when he was a child. A being older than most civilizations, keeper of dimensional balance, protector of fragile worlds, an ether dragon guardian. Her scales shimmered like polished crystal, shifting between silver, blue, and white. Her wings glowed with soft energy, leaving trails of light behind them. Her long, sleek body moved with a grace that did not match the heavy air around her. She was beautiful in a way that made the sky itself seem too small for her. Gasps filled the square. Some colonists dropped to their knees. "Is that? It can't be a guardian, a real one." Marcus stared, breath caught in his chest. He had never imagined he would see one in person. The dragon hovered above the shield generator, folding her wings and lowering her long neck. Energy pulsed from her body into the failing tower. The shield steadied, its flickering stabilizing under her guidance. The rift slowed in its growth, no longer tearing apart the sky as quickly, but the strain was obvious. The Guardian's wings shook, her tail trembled. Bright cracks of light formed along her scales, signs of exhaustion for her kind. "She's going to burn herself out," Marcus whispered. Dragons were mighty, but even they could not fight a dimensional breach alone. Before Marcus could move, something went wrong. The ground shuddered violently. A burst of unstable gravity exploded from the rift, sending a shockwave across the square. Buildings collapsed, the generator tower cracked, and the Guardian was thrown downward. Her left wing struck a heavy chunk of falling debris. A sound like shattering crystal rang through the air. The dragon spiraled, unable to hold herself aloft, and crashed into the colony plaza with a force that shattered stone tiles. Dust erupted around her in a thick cloud. People screamed and ran. Marcus didn't hesitate. While others fled, he ran toward the fallen Guardian. When he reached her, she lay on her side, her massive body trembling with pain. Her broken wing was twisted at an unnatural angle. Energy flickered weakly across her scales. Her large, luminous eyes, silver with flecks of deep violet, opened and focused on him. She expected fear. Most humans were terrified of dragons, but Marcus simply knelt beside her. "Don't try to move," he said firmly. "You'll make it worse." The Guardian blinked slowly, surprised by his calmness. "You are unafraid," her voice echoed, not from her mouth, but directly into his mind. Her tone was soft, almost musical. "Human warrior, why do you remain?" Marcus grabbed a metal beam that had pinned part of her tail and pushed with all his strength. His injured arm shook, but he didn't stop until the beam shifted away. "Because people are in danger," he said, "including you." The dragon inhaled sharply, startled by the honesty in his voice. With her other wing, she shielded Marcus from falling debris as another shockwave passed. Even injured, she protected him instinctively. Marcus leaned against her warm scales, catching his breath. "Can you stabilize the shield again?" "I cannot," she admitted. "Not alone." Her voice carried exhaustion deeper than physical pain. She had held the rift back for too long. Marcus looked around. The colony was still evacuating. They needed time. He stood, ignoring the pain shooting up his leg. "Then I'll help," he said. "You are injured. You are only human." "Human's enough," Marcus replied. "Come on." The Guardian stared at him, wide-eyed. No human had ever spoken to her like that, simple, direct, without fear or worship. She could sense his spirit, battered but unbroken. He had the courage of someone who had lost much, yet still chose to protect others. A warmth spread through her chest, unfamiliar and confusing. She lowered her head slightly. "You saved me," she said softly. "And you stand with me despite the danger. By the ancient laws of the Ether Guardians, I owe you a life debt." Marcus blinked. "That's not necessary. It is tradition." "And truth," she replied. "As part of the oath, I must grant you 3 sacred boons. Wishes, if you prefer." Marcus stared at her, speechless for a moment. A dragon offering boons was rare, almost unheard of. He didn't know what to say, but the ground trembled again. Time was running out. He looked into her glowing eyes and spoke without hesitation. "Then my first wish is simple," he said. "Don't leave. Stay with me. We'll handle this together." The Guardian's eyes widened. Of all the wishes she expected, this was not one. Humans usually asked for power, treasure, or protection, but he had asked only for her presence, for partnership. Warm light spread across her cheeks, tinting her silver scales with a soft rose-gold glow. She was blushing. I will stay," she said, voice gentle. Your first wish is granted. Marcus, hail. And for the first time since she had arrived, the Guardian lifted her head with renewed strength, because someone had chosen to fight beside her, not behind her. The sky above Karis 9 pulsed with unstable light as Marcus and the Guardian prepared to face the spreading rift. Although her wing remained broken, the dragon's eyes burned with a new determination. She had granted Marcus's first wish, to stay with him, and she meant to honor it. The Guardian slowly lifted herself, using her good wing to steady her weight. Cracks of glowing energy ran along her injured side, but she did not complain. Marcus stayed close, ready to steady her if she stumbled. "What should I call you?" Marcus asked quietly. The dragon turned her long neck toward him. "My true name is Cerithria. Most humans cannot speak it correctly, but you may try." "Cerithria," Marcus repeated carefully. The dragon's eyes brightened with surprise. "You said it well." A low, soft vibration came from her throat. It took Marcus a moment to realize she was pleased. But there was no time to enjoy the moment. Another burst of unstable gravity shook the plaza, throwing debris into the air. Marcus shielded his eyes. "The rift is getting worse." "Yes," Cerithria answered, her voice echoing gently in his mind. "If we do nothing, the breach will consume the colony." Marcus didn't hesitate. "Then let's stop it." Cerithria's gaze softened. "Together." The colony alarms continued to blare as Marcus and the dragon moved toward the shield generator. The tower leaned dangerously, cracked from the earlier explosion. Its blue power field flickered like a dying star. People still fled toward the outer shelters, keeping their distance from the dragon but stealing curious glances at Marcus walking beside her. Some whispered, some pointed, but Marcus ignored them. There were more important things to focus on. When they reached the base of the generator tower, Cerithria lowered her head to inspect the damage. The broken crystal core glimmered weakly. "This structure is failing," she said. "My power slowed the rift, but the generator cannot hold much longer." "What do you need?" Marcus asked. "Support," she answered. "Stability, and someone I trust to stand at my side." For a dragon guardian, trust was not given lightly. But she already felt a bond growing, something ancient and instinctive. It surprised her, but she did not resist it. Marcus stepped closer. "I'm here." Cerithria breathed deeply and spread her good wing. Light poured from her scales, flowing into the generator like liquid silver. The tower responded, strengthening its glow. But the process clearly hurt her. Her injured wing trembled, and cracks of light spread along her side. Marcus placed a steadying hand on her front leg. "Easy, don't push too hard." Her voice echoed in his mind, warm and calm. "Your presence helps. Continue to stay with me." He nodded firmly. For several minutes, they held the unstable energy together. Marcus stabilized the generator controls, while Cerithria fed pure ether energy into the core. Sweat gathered on Marcus's forehead, and Cerithria's breathing grew heavier, but slowly, very slowly, the shield brightened. Then something changed. The rift pulsed again. But this time the energy moved more predictably, not violently like before. The chaotic tearing slowed, forming a more controlled swirl. Cerithria's eyes widened. "Your presence," she whispered. "It is affecting the balance." Marcus frowned. "Is that bad?" "No," she said. "It is unexpected." She examined him through the bond that formed when she granted the first boon. Human minds were usually sharp and linear, but Marcus's mind was different, stable, strong, and filled with a steady focus she had never encountered from a mortal before. He is not afraid, she thought, even now. Dragons were powerful, ancient beings, but they had weaknesses. They could feel doubt. They could feel fear. They could break. But Marcus's steady courage created a stabilizing field around her. He did not even realize he was doing it. After nearly 20 minutes, the shield held firmly again. The rift hovered in the sky like a spinning violet storm, but it no longer grew. The colony was safe, for now. Scifi pulled away from the generator, exhausted. Her scales were dim, her breathing uneven. Marcus stepped beside her immediately. "Sit down," he said. "Dragons do not—" She stopped mid-sentence as another tremor shook her injured wing, and she sank to the ground with a pained exhale. Marcus knelt beside her. "Let me check your wing." Scifi hesitated. Dragons rarely allowed anyone near their wounded parts, but Marcus was not anyone. "Very well," she said gently. Marcus examined the wing carefully. While the bones and energy channels were cracked, the structure had not collapsed. It could heal, but only with time and rest. Two things the crisis did not offer freely. "You need to conserve your strength," he said. Scifi lowered her gaze. "I cannot. The rift is not the only threat." She looked toward the north horizon. Dark shapes moved through the rift, beasts with sharp limbs, glowing eyes, and swirling shadows around their bodies. Rift predators, creatures born from unstable dimensions. If they reached the colony, nothing would stand in their path. Marcus rose immediately. "How many?" "Too many for me alone while injured," she admitted. "But with your help, perhaps enough." Marcus tightened his fists. His body ached, but he did not back away. "I fought a lot of things in my life," he said. "I can fight them too." Scifi studied him. "You are only human." He smiled faintly. "You say that like it's a weakness." Her eyes softened. "With you beside me, it is not." The rift predators grew closer, their bodies moving like shadows across liquid air. Their screeches echoed across the colony, sending shivers through everyone still within earshot. Scifi rose again, despite her pain. Marcus stood beside her, gripping a shock baton from his emergency pack. "You do not fear them?" she asked. "Fear comes later," he said, "after the job is done." Scifi felt a strange warmth inside her chest. Humans fascinated her, this one especially. His courage was not loud or flashy. It was steady and calm, like a quiet fire that never went out. She spread her good wing and prepared to fight. The predators struck first. 3 of them leapt from the rift, claws like shards of black glass. Scifi swung her tail, smashing one into the ground. Marcus dodged another, slipping under its claws and striking its center with his shock baton. A burst of weak electricity traveled through the creature's unstable body, disrupting it. The predator screeched and dissolved into violet mist. But more came. 5, 10, 12. Scifi breathed out a beam of pale blue ether fire, clearing a path. Marcus covered her side, targeting any creature that slipped through her defenses. They moved like they had fought together for years, though they had only met hours ago. Scifi realized something with growing surprise. Her power flowed more smoothly when Marcus was near. Her aim sharpened. Her energy loss slowed. It was as if the bond created by granting the first boon strengthened her abilities. "Impossible," she whispered. But the truth became clear. His presence did not weaken her. It empowered her. It wasn't magic. It wasn't training. It was trust. Marcus trusted her completely, and that trust fed her ether core, not with energy, but with stability. Dragons could share energy, but never had one experienced a human who returned it in such a way. For the first time in centuries, Scifi's heart raced with something she had never felt. Hope. After a long, exhausting battle, the last predator dissolved into mist. The rift shrank slightly, contained by the shield and the dragon's ether. The colony was safe again, safe enough for the moment. Scifi collapsed to one knee, panting. Marcus immediately caught her head gently, steadying her as she lowered it to the ground so she wouldn't hurt her neck. You did amazing, he said. Cerithria's voice was soft. I did not fight alone. Marcus smiled. I know. She looked at him, her silver eyes glowing faintly. Marcus Hale, your courage strengthens me in ways I do not understand. And your presence does the same for me. A soft light flickered around them, forming a warm glow where their bond pulsed. Cerithria leaned her head closer, her scales warm and gentle. Perhaps this is the first gift, she whispered. Companionship. Marcus placed a hand on her snout, steady and respectful. Then it's a gift we share. For the first time since arriving on Karis 9, Cerithria felt calm. And for the first time since the war, Marcus felt he belonged somewhere again. But the rift still spun above the colony, and greater dangers waited beyond it. This was only the beginning. The colony of Karis 9 was quiet for a brief moment after the battle. Dust settled, the alarms stopped echoing, and the energy in the air calmed just enough for people to breathe again. But everyone knew it was only a temporary peace. The rift still pulsed above the sky like a giant spinning bruise. The glow around it darkened, signaling that something stronger was gathering on the other side. Marcus Hale felt it like a low vibration running through the ground. Cerithria felt it much deeper, through the ether currents that only dragons could sense. The next wave would be worse. She rested with her good wing folded tightly against her body, while the broken one lay limp along the stone. Energy cracks still glowed along her scales. Marcus knelt beside her, wiping dirt from his hands. You need proper healing. Cerithria shook her head slowly. Dragons do not fear pain, she tried to say, but the exhaustion in her voice betrayed her true condition. You fought too hard, Marcus said. You're not going to last like this. Her silver eyes softened, but she lifted her head with careful pride. I must protect this world. My life debt to you binds my purpose. Marcus frowned. And my purpose is to keep both of us alive. Cerithria blinked, almost surprised. Dragons were used to offering protection, not receiving it. The idea that a human, a species so young and fragile, would protect a guardian felt strange but comforting. Before either of them could say more, the sky above them dimmed. A new ripple burst from the rift, a deeper one, stronger, colder. Shadows stretched across the plains as the air grew heavy. Marcus stiffened. Something else is coming. Cerithria leaned forward, eyes narrowing. The signature is powerful, more powerful than the predators. Something ancient, something from the deep layers. Then she felt another presence, not from the rift, but approaching from the sky's eastern horizon. A controlled energy, smooth and metallic. She tensed. We are not alone. Marcus followed her gaze. A formation of sleek silver craft, a fleet of 5, descended toward the colony square. The ships bore the emblem of a star inside a circle. Marcus's jaw tightened. I know that symbol. Cerithria's voice grew low. The Astral Tribunal. She had spoken of them once before. A political and military power formed by several advanced species. They controlled interdimensional travel and watched over ether activity. To them, guardians were useful, until they became inconvenient. The lead ship landed, and several armored figures stepped out. Their armor shone with white and gold plates, and their visors reflected the light of the unstable sky. They walked directly toward Marcus and Cerithria with rigid discipline. The tallest among them spoke through a voice amplifier. Dragon Guardian Cerithria of the First Ether Line, Humyn Marcus Hale, you will both step away from the rift and cease your actions immediately. Cerithria let out a low growl, her chest rumbling like distant thunder. This world is in danger. Your interference will not help. The tribunal leader raised a hand. The rift is expanding because you attempted to stabilize it alone. Your energy is too unstable due to your injuries. Cerithria recoiled, offended. A guardian's power is not yours to judge. But the leader ignored her and pointed at Marcus instead. And the Humyn, your bonding with him has created an unlawful ether resonance. This is extremely dangerous. You will sever the bond. Marcus stared at them in disbelief. We just saved the colony, and we're trying to save it again. Your actions were not authorized, the leader responded coldly. Cerithria's tail lashed behind her. He saved my life. Our bond is my choice. The leader took a step forward. Then your choice violates tribunal law. You will come with us for containment. Cerithria lowered her head protectively over Marcus. I will not leave him. Marcus stood tall beside her. And I'm not leaving her. The tribunal soldiers aimed small cylindrical devices at Marcus, stasis projectors. Cerithria's eyes flashed with anger. You dare threaten him? She growled, her voice echoing through the square. Guardian, the leader warned, step aside. Cerithria positioned her body between Marcus and the soldiers. Magic rippled across her scales. Her instincts screamed to protect him, not because of the life debt, but because she knew Marcus would never run. The tension in the air grew sharp. The rift pulsed again, shaking the ground violently. A distant roar, one far louder and deeper than the predator's, echoed across the sky. Everyone froze. Is that what I think it is? Marcus whispered. Cerithria's pupils narrowed. A leviathan, a creature of void, a devourer of worlds. The tribunal leader stepped back, the confidence fading from his voice. A leviathan cannot come through a rift this size. It can, Cerithria corrected, if the dimensional walls are weakened enough. The air shook again. Violet lightning cracked. And a massive shadow moved behind the spinning veil of the rift. The tribunal soldiers exchanged nervous looks. Their tone changed immediately. Guardian Cerithria, the leader said, your strength is required, but you must still sever the bond before... Cerithria snapped her head toward him, eyes blazing. I will not sever anything. Then she turned to Marcus. This coming threat is too strong. Even with you beside me, I cannot fight it alone. Not like this. Marcus didn't hesitate. Tell me what to do. Cerithria inhaled deeply. My second boon remains. I can grant you strength, true strength, but it will not be like before. Marcus stepped closer. Explain. I can share a portion of my ether core with you, she said. It will change your body, strengthen your bones, sharpen your senses. It will allow you to stand against creatures born of the rift. Marcus remained silent for a long moment, not out of fear, but from understanding the weight of her offer. Will it hurt you? He finally asked. Cerithria blinked slowly. It will weaken me for a short time, but losing you would weaken me far more. Marcus felt something shift in his chest. Then I accept. The tribunal leader shouted, Humyn, you cannot accept. This is forbidden. Cerithria ignored them. She extended her long neck and gently touched her forehead to Marcus's chest. A soft silver glow spread between them. Marcus gasped as warmth flooded through his body. The energy wasn't painful. It felt like waking up after years of heavy sleep. His muscles tightened, his senses sharpened, and his heartbeat steadied into a strong, steady rhythm. A mark shaped like a swirling star appeared across his skin, glowing faintly under his collar. Cerithria pulled back slightly. It is done. You are now the first ether-tethered human. Marcus flexed his fingers. Power hummed beneath his skin. The tribunal soldiers stumbled backward, shocked. That is impossible, the leader whispered. Humans cannot survive core resonance. Marcus stepped forward, his posture strong, his eyes bright with new clarity. Looks like I survived. Cerithria lifted her head with renewed pride despite her injuries. Our bond is not a danger. It is a strength you cannot understand. A thunderous roar interrupted them as a massive claw, larger than a house, pressed against the inside of the rift. The swirling energy strained, cracking like a spider web. Marcus turned toward the sky. "It's coming through." Cerithria forced herself to stand tall. "Yes, and you will need your new strength for what happens next." The tribunal soldiers hesitated. Their rules meant nothing in the face of a Leviathan. Their leader finally lowered his weapon. "Guardian," he said quietly, we will support you." Cerithria did not reply. Her focus was on the rift and on Marcus. "Marcus Hale," she said slowly, "your second wish is granted. May it protect not only yourself, but everyone you stand for." Marcus stepped beside her, now glowing faintly with ether energy. "Then let's protect them," he said. "Together." The rift shattered open. The Leviathan began to enter the world, and the true battle was about to begin. Lightning crackled in swirling circles, bright enough to blind. The air shook with deep vibrations, carrying the sound of something ancient forcing its way into the world. People in the colony shelters covered their ears. Buildings rattled. Dust rose in long waves. Marcus Hale stood firm, even as his clothes whipped around him from the violent winds. A faint glow pulsed from the ether mark on his skin. His senses were sharper now. He felt every tremble in the ground, every change in the air, every surge of danger. Beside him, Cerithria planted her claws deep into the cracked stone, bracing herself. Her injured wing trembled, but she held her head high. Silver-blue light flickered around her, reacting to the Leviathan's presence. Marcus looked up. "How big is this thing?" Cerithria's voice trembled for the first time since he met her. "Large enough to end this world if we fail." A claw the size of a shuttle forced through the rift, gripping the air as if the sky were solid. Its long joints were made of dark matter and violet flames. A second claw followed, each one sending waves of pressure that nearly pushed Marcus off his feet. The astral tribunal soldiers backed away in fear. Their leader shouted, "Everyone fall back! This is beyond protocol!" Cerithria ignored them. "Marcus, come closer." He stepped toward her without fear, trusting her completely. She lowered her head to his level. "Your new strength will grow quickly, but it is untested. You must stay near me. My aura will guide your energy." Marcus nodded. "Then we don't leave each other's side." Cerithria's chest warmed with something soft and unfamiliar. "Yes, together." Another roar thundered from the rift, so powerful the colony's remaining windows shattered. Then the Leviathan pushed its head through. It was enormous. Its skull was long and sharp, shaped like a jagged comet. Its eyes glowed with swirling galaxies. Every breath it exhaled warped the air. Its body followed in segments, serpentine, armored, wrapped in dark ether currents. Marcus felt the weight of its presence pressing down on him like a mountain. Any human without his new power would have fainted instantly. The Leviathan stretched its long neck and let out another roar. The vibration traveled through stone, metal, and bone. Marcus gritted his teeth. "That thing wants to swallow the whole planet." "Not if we strike first," Cerithria said, rising to her full height. Her broken wing hung limp, but her good wing flared wide. "You must be careful," Marcus warned. "You're still hurt." "I will endure," she replied. "A guardian does not flee." Marcus stepped forward, gripping his upgraded shock baton, now humming with new energy. "And neither do I." Cerithria felt a spark of pride. "Very well, we fight." The Leviathan unleashed a blast of void energy toward the colony. Cerithria leapt forward, throwing her body in front of Marcus. Her scales shone bright as they absorbed the hit, but she let out a pained cry. "Cerithria!" Marcus shouted. "I am fine," she said through clenched teeth. "Stay behind me." Marcus slid under her neck, driving his baton into the ground. Ether energy surged through it, forming a protective barrier. The void blast hit the barrier and shattered in a burst of violet sparks. The tribunal soldiers stared in disbelief. That Humyn, he generated a shield? That shouldn't be possible. His body is resonating with the dragon's core. Marcus felt the power growing inside him, but it was overwhelming. Scifi, I don't think I can control this much for long. You do not need to control it alone, she replied. Let it join with my aura. Marcus stepped closer until he touched her front leg. The moment he did, the unstable energy inside him calmed, flowing smoothly through his body like warm light. Scifi's power balanced his. Their bond completed the current. Together they rose to face the Leviathan. The monster lunged forward, smashing its claws into the ground. Shockwaves radiated outward, throwing debris into the air. Marcus darted aside with new speed. So fast he surprised himself. He leapt onto a broken pillar, landed lightly, and sprang forward again. Scifi inhaled deeply and released a beam of pure ether fire. The Leviathan twisted, but the beam struck its shoulder, burning a glowing mark into its dark armor. The beast roared, its voice shaking the colony's foundations. That just made it angry, Marcus said. Scifi nodded. Good. Angry creatures make mistakes. The Leviathan opened its massive jaws and released a storm of void tendrils, moving like ghostly chains. Marcus shouted, "Incoming!" Scifi swept her tail, knocking aside several tendrils. Marcus jumped aside, rolled, and slashed one with his baton. His strike left a brilliant silver arc in the air, severing the tendril completely. Scifi stared in amazement. Your body, it adapts to ether faster than I expected. Is that good? Marcus asked. She lifted her head proudly. It is extraordinary. More tendrils shot toward them. Marcus and Scifi fought side by side, moving in perfect synchronization. His new strength allowed him to hit hard enough to disrupt void matter. Her energy stabilized his movements, guiding him through danger. For a moment, the battle felt almost balanced, but then everything changed. A crack appeared in the sky, not from the rift, but above it. Scifi gasped. No, the dimensional walls, they are collapsing. The Leviathan will not be the only one. Marcus looked at her in alarm. Meaning what? Meaning more will come, she said. Many more. The Leviathan roared again, as if calling to whatever waited behind the veil. The ground tore open beneath its weight. The colony shield flickered, barely holding. Marcus clenched his fists. We need a plan. Scifi's eyes glowed faintly. There is one more boon left. Marcus hesitated. Their situation was desperate. The Leviathan was too strong for the two of them alone, and more creatures could come at any time. What can the last boon do? He asked. Scifi bowed her head, her voice soft. The third boon has no limit. It is shaped by your heart. Marcus stared at her, feeling the weight of the decision. Then, I need to choose carefully. She nodded. Yes, your wish will shape our future. The Leviathan roared again and slammed its claws forward. The force shook the shield tower and sent fractures across the ground. Dust filled the air. Humans screamed. Scifi crouched protectively over Marcus again, her body shielding him from falling debris. You do not have long, she said gently. Marcus looked at the colony, at the people running, at the families trying to protect each other, at the children clutching their parents. He looked at Scifi, injured, exhausted, but still standing between him and danger. His heart knew the answer. He stepped out from under her wing, ready to make his choice. Scifi, he said firmly, for my final wish. The dragon lifted her head, waiting. My wish is this, Marcus said. Share your strength with everyone, not just me, not just yourself. Give every human here enough power to stand with you. Scifi froze. Of all the wishes she expected, strength, victory, protection, survival, She had not expected this. "You wish to give your species the power of the ether?" she whispered, stunned. Marcus nodded. "Yes, not to replace you, but to stand beside you." Cerithria's scales glowed with a soft, warm light, the same rose-gold blush she felt during his first wish. But this time, it was stronger, full of emotion she didn't fully understand. "You amaze me, Marcus Hale," she whispered. "No being, no species, has ever made a wish like that." She extended her wings, both the good one and the broken one, letting her ether flare wide. Her voice echoed like a song across the sky. "Your final boon is granted." A massive pulse of silver-blue energy burst from her core, rising high above the colony. The light spread like a wave, touching every human within reach. Marcus felt the power surge through him, warm and bright. Across the colony, every human felt it, strength, clarity, unity, their minds aligned like stars forming a constellation. For the first time in history, humans and a dragon guardian stood on equal ground, side by side. The Leviathan roared in sudden alarm, and Marcus lifted his glowing baton. "Everyone," he said softly, as the colony lights flickered back to life, "let's finish this." The silver-blue wave of ether light swept across Karis 9 like a rising dawn. It rolled gently over every house, every shelter, every frightened family hiding behind metal doors. The glow didn't burn or shock. Instead, it entered each person like a warm breath of courage. People gasped as the light touched them. Their vision sharpened, their hearts steadied. Their fear melted enough for clarity to return. Parents stood up straighter. Children stopped crying and grabbed their parents' hands with new confidence. Miners, engineers, medics, builders all felt a spark awaken inside them. Ether resonance. Not as strong as Marcus's bond, but enough to strengthen their bodies and senses. Enough to let humanity stand, not behind Cerithria, not hiding in fear, but right beside her. On the plaza, Marcus felt the shared surge strongest. His ether mark brightened until it looked like a small star on his chest. Cerithria watched him, her eyes glowing with quiet pride. "Your wish has changed the course of this world." Marcus shook his head. "We changed it. Together." The Leviathan's roar cut through the air again, louder and angrier than before. It pushed more of its enormous body through the rift, ripping clouds apart like thin cloth. Its entire head had entered the world, followed by a long stretch of armored neck glowing with dark purple veins. Lightning cracked around it. A storm formed above. The rift widened. The tribunal soldiers trembled, but something had changed in them too. The wave of ether energy had touched them as well. Their fear faded just enough for courage to return. Marcus turned to them and shouted, "Stand with us!" The tribunal leader swallowed hard, then raised his weapon. "All units, support the Guardian!" That was the moment the battle shifted. Humans poured out of the shelters, cautiously at first, then with growing determination. They carried whatever tools they had, mining lasers, cutting torches, shock rods, even simple metal poles charged with Cerithria's ether. The Leviathan noticed the movement across the colony. It opened its massive jaws and unleashed a wave of void energy. Cerithria spread her wings and jumped in front of the blast. Her scales flared bright blue, absorbing the impact. The force pushed her back several feet, claws scraping stone. But she stayed standing. Marcus sprinted to her side. "Are you okay?" Her breath was uneven, but she nodded. "Your colony is stronger than I expected." "They're strong because they finally believe they can be," Marcus said. Cerithria gazed at the gathering humans. Hope warmed her chest. "Then let us give them a chance to prove it." Marcus raised his baton high. The ether inside it responded, creating a glowing arc of silver-white light. "Everyone, follow me!" he shouted, and the colony obeyed. Humans spread across the plaza, forming coordinated lines. The ether glow inside them helped them move with new speed and precision. Scifi guided the flow of energy, stabilizing them and strengthening their coordination. The Leviathan struck again, smashing its claws into the ground. But the shockwaves didn't send people flying this time. Many staggered, but they didn't fall. They steadied themselves and pushed forward. Marcus leaped onto a broken platform, then sprang high into the air, higher than any human could normally jump. He landed on the Leviathan's talon and slammed his baton into its armor. The impact created a burst of silver light, sending cracks across the creature's dark scales. The Leviathan roared in surprise. Scifi unleashed a vortex of ether fire, blasting the creature's shoulder. The combined attacks forced the beast to recoil. For the first time, the Leviathan looked less like an unstoppable force, and more like something that could be beaten. Engineers redirected mining lasers toward the beast's weaker joints. Medics formed support teams to keep fighters stable. Children carried extra tools. Soldiers and colonists stood shoulder to shoulder, their movements unified like a single organism. The tribunal ships fired concentrated beams into the rift itself, slowing the creature's escape path. And Marcus continued to fight at the front, never far from Scifi's side. The Leviathan released a deep, distorted growl and swung its massive tail toward the colony. The impact would have crushed dozens of people. "No!" Scifi roared. She lunged forward, ignoring the pain in her broken wing, and intercepted the hit with her body. The force sent her crashing into a row of metal crates, shattering them. Marcus sprinted toward her. "Scifi!" The dragon struggled to rise, her scales flickered weakly. Energy cracks spread along her injured side. "I will fight," she rasped. "I must fight!" Marcus placed his hands on her scales. "Not alone this time." Dozens of humans ran toward them, raising their hands. Ether sparks danced between them and Scifi, feeding her energy, not draining her, giving. Scifi's eyes widened as the glow around her strengthened again. "They are helping me?" she whispered. Marcus smiled. "You shared your strength with them. Now they're sharing it back." Scifi had never experienced anything like this. Guardians protected worlds. They were rarely protected by them. For the first time in her long life, she felt truly supported. She rose again, power restored. "Then let us finish this," she said. The Leviathan gathered a final, massive void blast in its jaws. The air distorted. The ground cracked. The sky dimmed. Marcus sensed the danger instantly. "It's aiming to destroy the entire colony." Scifi spread her wings wide. "Then we stop it here." She looked at Marcus. He looked at her. Their bond pulsed bright, merging their energies. Marcus stood at her side. The humans formed lines behind them. The tribunal ships circled above, ready to fire. Scifi's voice echoed across the battlefield. "Together!" The Leviathan fired. A storm of pure void energy raged toward them. Marcus held his baton high. Scifi extended her wings. The colony braced itself, and the joint energy of humans and dragons surged forward like a tidal wave of light. The two forces collided. The void blast tore at the ground. The ether shield trembled, cracked, then held. Marcus cried out as power rushed through him. Scifi roared with all her strength. The Leviathan's blast sputtered, crumbled, collapsed. The humans saw the opening and struck. Mining lasers cut into the Leviathan's exposed joints. The tribunal ships fired plasma beams, weakening its form. Marcus leapt forward, sprinting straight up the creature's arm as if running along a solid ramp of light. Scifi flew beside him, despite her wing, using ether currents instead of air. They reached the Leviathan's neck together. Marcus drove his glowing baton deep into the exposed core. Scifi fired a concentrated beam of ether fire straight into the wound. The Leviathan screamed, a vibration that shook the air for miles. Then its body dissolved into fading bursts of violet dust. Finally, mercifully, the rift cracked and snapped shut, leaving behind a quiet, clear sky. The battle was over. Silence fell across the colony. People stared at the empty sky in disbelief. The tribunal soldiers lowered their weapons slowly. The engineers dropped their tools in relief. Children clung to their parents. Then cheers broke out, cheers that grew louder and louder until the entire colony roared in celebration. Marcus stood on the plaza, breathing hard but smiling. Scifi lowered her head beside him. Her scales were cracked, her wings still broken, but she looked proud. Proud in a way she hadn't felt in centuries. Marcus rested a hand on her snout. "We did it." "No," she said softly. "Humanity did it." He laughed. "HFY." Scifi tilted her head. "HFY? Humans are pretty amazing," he said with a grin. Scifi's scales shimmered in that familiar rose-gold blush. "Yes," she whispered. "They are." The tribunal leader approached, helmet removed. His voice was respectful, deeply so. "Guardian Scifi, Marcus Hale, you have achieved what our laws never imagined. We withdraw all objections. The Ether-Human Alliance is approved." Scifi lifted her head proudly. "Then we begin a new era." The leader nodded. "If you will both serve as representatives, the tribunal will support your partnership." Marcus exchanged a look with Scifi. "Looks like we have a lot of work ahead," she nodded, "but we will face it together." The final scene settled over Karas 9. Scifi resting her giant head beside Marcus, the colony rebuilding around them, a gentle breeze passing through a sky finally calm again. For the first time in a very, very long time, the future felt bright.